Hello students, how are you? Welcome back to my YouTube channel Physics Insight. Today in this video we are going to discuss the topic radioactivity based on ICSE curriculum for grade 10. Today in this video we will discuss something related to atomic structure, isotopes, isotone, isobars, and after that we will start with the topic radioactivity, under which we will discuss alpha, beta and gamma decay and difference between their properties. In the next topic, we will discuss something related to radioisotopes also. Now let's begin with our topic. First of all, we are going to study atomic structure. According to the Neil Bohr's model of atom consists of three kind of particles. Protons, neutrons and electrons. Protons and neutrons reside inside the nucleus while electrons revolve around the nucleus in stationary orbits. See, inside the nucleus, neutrons and protons are there, but electrons revolve around the nucleus in stationary orbits. Like this. Also, we very well know electrons if gain energy, if electron present in the first shell gains energy, so it will shift to the higher energy shell, while if electron from the higher energy shell come down to the lower atomic orbital, so it will lose energy in the form of light. Okay, so the radius of atom is of order 10 raised power minus 10 meters, and moreover the size of nucleus is of order 10 raised power minus 15 meters, and protons are positively charged and mass of proton is 1.67 into 10 raised power minus 27 kg. Mass of neutron is again 1.67 into 10 raised power minus 27 kg. And these entities, both protons and neutrons, together they are known as nucleons. Also, the electron. Now electron is having negative charge, exactly having magnitude equal to the magnitude of positive charge on proton, that is charge on electron is 1.6 into 10 raised power minus 19 coulomb, and it is negative in nature. Also the mass of electron is 9.1 into 10 raised power minus 31 kg. So this is all about the nucleons and electrons present in an atom. So next we are going to discuss something related to atomic number. So what do you know about atomic number? So atomic number of an atom is equal to the number of protons present inside the nucleus. For example, if oxygen has atomic number 8, then this 8 is the number of protons present inside the nucleus of oxygen atom. Okay. Next we are going to discuss something related to mass number. So what do you know about mass number? So it is the total number of nucleons present inside the nucleus. Again, I am telling, what do you know about nucleons? Nucleons is the collective name we use for protons and neutrons. Whenever we are going to indicate protons and neutrons all together, so we will denote it with the name nucleons. So this is all about the structure of atom, which we have studied in the junior classes. So next we are going to start with isotopes, isotones and isobars. So these are the three terms which are quite different from each other. Isotopes. So what does this term indicate? So isotopes are just the atoms of element having same atomic number but different mass number. For example, hydrogen has three isotopes: protium, deuterium and tritium. All these have same atomic number but the mass number of all the three are different. So what do you know about isotones? So these are the atoms of different elements having different number of protons but same number of neutrons. For example, sodium and magnesium. So when you evaluate the number of neutrons present in them, that is 23 minus 11 and 24 minus 12. So both comes out to be equal, but their number of protons are different. So we will say that both are isotonic with each other. Next we are dealing with isobars. So isobars are the atoms of different elements having same mass number but different atomic number. For example, sodium and magnesium. Earlier we were using the isotope of magnesium, so here magnesium we are using, that is different. Now proceeding to the next topic, that is radioactivity. Radioactivity is the phenomena of spontaneous disintegration of nucleus of an atom with the emission of one or more penetration radiations like alpha, beta and gamma rays. Actually what is happening, whenever we are having a naturally occurring heavy nucleus which is unstable, so it spontaneously emits a particle without stimulus of any external agency and transforms into a different nucleus. The process is spontaneous in the sense that it occurs by itself and it cannot be initiated, stopped, accelerated or retarded by changing any kind of chemical condition, any kind of physical conditions like temperature, pressure and other nuclear bombardment. So now we are having radioactivity of two types. One is natural one and other one is artificial. Now what is the difference between these two? In natural radioactivity, we define it as the phenomena of spontaneous disintegration of nuclei by emission of alpha, beta and gamma rays, and whereas in case of artificial radioactivity, we define it as phenomena of inducing radioactivity in certain stable nuclei by bombarding them with high energy particles. Okay, so this is called artificial radioactivity. So we are also having example of artificial radioactivity, or you can say induced radioactivity. For example, boron, when bombarded with helium, so it will give you nitrogen isotope and will eliminate one neutron. So this is an example of induced radioactivity. Here we have used some terms like alpha, beta and gamma rays. So now we are going to discuss what kind of particle these are. So firstly we will discuss something related to alpha decay and alpha particles. Now alpha rays are nothing but helium nuclei. When unstable nucleus emit two protons and two neutrons from it, so we will say that the nucleus has emitted an alpha particle. So if we want to explain alpha decay, so what we will say that alpha decay is a process in which an unstable nuclei transforms into a new nucleus by emitting alpha particle, and that alpha particle is helium nucleus. Now we very well know that since alpha particle has two protons and two neutrons, so after an decay, the parent nucleus X transforms to daughter nuclear Y with the mass number smaller by 4 and atomic number smaller by 2. So if you want to express it by the equation, so we will express it like this. So this is my parent nucleus having atomic number Z and atomic mass A. So when it has undergone alpha decay, so its atomic mass will be reduced by 4 and atomic number will be reduced by 2, and the particle so emitted is helium, or you can say alpha particle, along with lots of energy, which we denoted with Q factor. Here Q is indicating the energy released in the process and can be determined by the mass energy relation. Moreover, this Q value is defined as you can say the difference between sum of rest mass of reacting particles and sum of rest mass of product particles. So how we will write it in the form of formula? If you want to present it in case of formula, so how we will write? So we will write it like this: mass of X minus mass of Y plus mass of helium, which has omitted out, into C square. So this is actually delta mc square, which is Einstein's mass energy relation. So this is how we express it. So the example of alpha decay, now we are dealing with the now we have given the general equation before, so now we are going to discuss the example of alpha decay. The best example is the decay of uranium 92 to 38 isotope, which undergo alpha decay, and the daughter nuclei so formed is thorium 90 to 34 along with helium, and lots of energy has been evolved. So next, what we are going to tell you that how much energy that alpha particle is having, that with how much velocity that alpha particle came out. So the formula for evaluation of velocity of helium particle which is being emitted from the nucleus is 2 times a minus 4 into q divided by a mhe. So this is the formula with which you can evaluate the approximate value of velocity with which the helium nuclei is coming out of the nucleus. So next we are going to proceed with the beta decay. Now what is a beta particle? So beta particle is an electron. Okay, so beta particle is an electron. So if we want to say what are beta rays, so we will say that it is a stream of electrons. In alpha rays, the stream of helium nuclei is there. In beta decay, the stream of electron is there. So how we will describe this beta decay? So we will say that the process of spontaneous emission of electron or the positron from a nucleus is called beta decay. That is spontaneous emission of electron or a positron from a nucleus is called beta decay. Now here I have used the term electron, but radioactivity is something related with the nucleus. So from in the nucleus, where does this electron came from? So we will also discuss this from where the electron came out. But before that, let's understand the process, what is there. See, whenever the electron is coming out, so we will call it as beta negative decay. And whenever a positron came out, so we will call it as beta positive decay. Okay. So in beta negative decay, the mass number of radioactive nucleus remains unchanged, but its atomic number increases by 1. An electron and a new particle called antineutrino are emitted from the nucleus in a decay. So if we want to indicate this decay with the help of general formula, so we indicate it like this. So atomic number will be increased by 1, and now electron has been emitted out plus 1 particle. So this is called antineutrino. In beta negative decay, antineutrino is eliminated, and in beta positive decay, neutrino is emitted. So the example for beta decay is phosphorus 1532. After beta decay gets converted to sulfur 1632 along with antineutrino. Now the topic of our discussion is from where does this electron came from, which is emitted out in beta decay. Since nucleus is not composed of electron, so now see, whenever we are having neutron number greater than proton number in a nucleus, so we say that nucleus is unstable. So in order to acquire stability, these neutrons gets converted to proton in order to acquire stability. So how this neutron splits? This neutron will split it up into proton plus electron. So why we are naming this electron to be a beta particle, why we are not naming it as an electron? Because the energy of beta particle is too large as compared to electrons revolving in nucleus. So we cannot distinguish it as electron, so we name it as a special name called beta particle. Okay. So next we are going to deal with the gamma decay. So what do you understand from the process gamma decay? So it is actually the process of emission of gamma ray photon during radioactive disintegration of nucleus is called gamma decay. When does it take place? See, after any kind of decay like alpha decay and beta decay, this gamma decay takes place. How we indicate this? We indicate it as AZX gets converted to AXZ. So here we indicate it with star. So this is the higher energy state to the lower energy state plus gamma ray photon. So now clearly you can see in the reaction that there is no atomic number change and no mass number change. Why so? Because as emitted photon have zero rest mass and carry no charge. So in a gamma decay, the mass number and atomic number of nucleus remain unchanged and no new element is formed. And a decay can be expressed as we have indicated with the given formula. So the parent nuclei from which this ray is emitted is in higher energy state and daughter nucleus comes in lower energy state. This is the daughter nuclei which is present in lower energy state, and the same atom, this is in excited energy state. So whenever nucleus changes its states from excited to lower energy state, so it emits some energy which is in the form of photons. So we call it as a gamma decay. So see, clearly a nucleus doesn't contain any kind of photon, yet it emits photons. So these photons are created during emission process. We know a nucleus can exist in different energy states. After an alpha decay or beta decay, the daughter nucleus is usually left in excited state. So it attains a ground state by single or successive transitions by emitting one or more photons. For example, if we take example of cobalt 60, what is there? So it decay and nickel isotope is formed. So after this decay, what is there? This nickel is in excited energy state. And in order to move to the ground state, so this nickel will emit energy which is in the form of gamma rays. So this nickel is 2860 again, but this is in ground state and this is in excited state. So this is one of the major example. Now I hope the concept of this radioactive decay and radioactivity is clear to you. Now we are proceeding to the next topic, which is radioisotopes. So what do you understand from the term radioisotopes? So the isotopes of element which undergo the process of radioactivity are called the radioactive isotopes. So next we are dealing with the uses of radioisotopes. So there are different uses of these radioisotopes. For example, the iodine 131. Iodine 131 is used for the diagnosis of location and detection of brain tumors, brain tumor, thyroid and gland disorder. So the next use is the isotope of sodium, sodium 24 isotope. So it is used for the detection of blood clot and also diagnose the circulation disorders and pumping of heart. Next, so the third use is iron 59 isotope. Iron 59 isotope is used for the diagnosis of anemia and pregnancy disorder. Next is calcium 60. So it is used for the diagnosis of cancer. Next, hydrogen third isotope, tritium. So hydrogen 3 isotope is used for detecting the water content of human body. Next is cadmium 109. So cadmium 109 isotope is used to analyze metal alloys, and for checking the stock and scrap sorting. So next, chromium 51. This isotope is used in research for RBC survival studies. Okay, and C14, carbon 14, is used in, you can say, agriculture purposes, carbon dating for detecting the ages of fossils, and other pollution control methods. While cobalt 57 is used as tracer to detect anemia. Then curium 244, curium 244 is used in mining to analyze material excavated from pits. Next, we are going to study sources of radioactive radiations. First of all, we will deal with natural and background radiations. Natural and background radiations. So radiations have always been present and is all around us. So the following section outlines the source of natural background radiation. So first of all, one of the background radiation is cosmic radiation. So these are the cosmic radiations. So what do you mean by the term cosmic radiation? These are nothing but just a stream of protons. Okay? These are the stream of protons and the source is sun. These are also radioactive in nature, and Earth's outer atmosphere is bombarded by the cosmic radiation. So cosmic radiations are ionizing radiations and penetrates Earth's surface and becomes absorbed by the humans, which results in the natural radiation exposure. So next source is the internal sources, that is potassium 40 and C14 isotope along with radium. They are present in our body as the internal radiation sources. They are present in our blood. Next, nuclear waste. Fuel rods, we use uranium fuel rods in nuclear reactors. Okay, so uranium fuel rods used in nuclear power reactors are rejected when their activity decreases. Then they become nuclear waste. So these rods are still radioactive in nature and creates a lots of radioactive radiations which impact the human life. So next is radioactive fallout from the nuclear power plants. Nuclear power plants are now a major source of electricity. If somehow there is an accident in reactor, a large amount of radioactive material and radiations will escape out into our atmosphere, and these accidents can cause damage to reactor buildings and moreover to the human life also. Because once we are exposed to the radiations, so we are most probably prone to the cancer, that is leukemia, skin cancer, anything. So now proceeding to the next topic, in which we will discuss something related to the harmful effects of radiations. So how these radiations are harmful to us? So radiation, first of all, the radiation can damage the DNA in our cells. Second disadvantage, that high doses of radiation can cause acute radiation syndrome or cutaneous radiation injuries. High dose of radiation could also lead to cancer. So next we are going to discuss some safety precautions, that how we can protect ourselves from these radiations. So first of all, what we can do, whenever we are making some nuclear power reactor for generating power, so they must be shielded with the lead. Power reactors must be shielded with lead walls. Why? Because lead is a good absorbent of radiations. So, and moreover, the nuclear reactor must be housed in airtight building of a concrete which can withstand earthquake, fires and explosions. And moreover, there must be a backup of cooling system for reactor core, so that in case of failure of one system, the other cooling system could take place and core is saved from overheating and melting. So there must be a backup of cooling system. And the last one is, the nuclear waste which is generated from the power reactor should be dumped, or you can say should be buried deep inside the mines and must be sealed, so that no radiations can come to us. As the distance increases, the penetration power of these radiations become low, and hence they cannot impact the human life anymore. So their impact can be decreased. So next, how these nuclear reactions, that is alpha, beta and gamma decay, is somewhat a different thing from a chemical reaction. First of all, in chemical reaction, only electrons revolving around nucleus take part in reaction and no change inside the nucleus occurs. Whereas in case of nuclear reaction, nucleus undergoes a reaction, or you can say the particles alpha, beta or gamma, they are coming out of the nucleus and transforms it into a complete different nucleus. Okay. And moreover, the energy released during this nuclear reaction is called nuclear energy. In short, we can say in chemical reaction, valence electrons takes part. But in case of nuclear reaction, nucleus takes part. Energy released during nuclear reaction is called nuclear energy. So now after this, so now we are going to discuss the difference in the properties of alpha, beta and gamma. Now we can clearly say that alpha rays are the helium nucleus, so it has 2 units positive charge on it, and moreover their penetration power is less, and they are slowest of all the three. Moreover, they are heavy, okay, so that's why their penetration power is less. And in case of beta rays, they are nothing but the negatively charged electrons, so they are having 1 unit negative charge on them, 1 unit of electron, and then penetration power of beta are more than penetration power of alpha and lesser than the penetration power of gamma rays. So moreover, the speed of beta rays are much more than alpha rays and very less than gamma rays. Moreover, in the case of gamma rays, they are uncharged electromagnetic radiations and having zero charge on them. Their maximum penetration power is among all the three, makes it move uh, deeper inside the material, and its speed is maximum of all. So the rest mass of gamma ray photon is also zero. Since alpha rays and beta rays are charged, only they can show deviation under electric and magnetic fields, whereas gamma rays having no charge and mass, so it remains undeflected under any kind of electric and magnetic field. So that's all students, this was our topic of today. So thank you for watching this video. So I hope the concept is clear to you. So if you are having any query in the any concept related to these topics, so you can ask your doubts in comment section. Your queries will be resolved. So see you again guys in the next video. God bless you all.